absolute classic. But as somebody who had $60 on the table, I'm fuming.
I've been a pizza delivery guy for a decent amount of time, and I usually get stuck with a crappy shift of 4 p.m. to 4 a.m. I live in a pretty small city out in the boonies, so there's only like one murder per year in our area. Well, last month there were 3 back-to-back murders, and we as drivers keep on that stuff. But hey, we have the job pretty good for just driving around the city all night, so it wasn't anything to get too worked up about.
Fire up the saucer.
Anyway,
it's time to
it was
show
probably
these
around 1
morons
a.m.
some of my
There was only
knocking
me,
crap
another
down
driver, a
style
cook,
kung
and our
fu.
manager who's in his mid-20s. He was really cool and understanding because he had been a driver in his teens. We were all finished with all the cleaning and stuff like that because it was an unusually slow night that night. And we finally got an order. I was the so-called lucky one to get to take this delivery down the dirt road in the middle of nowhere.
Too bad there aren't any
I
trailer
personally had never
parks
delivered
or
to that
mobile
area.
homes
It was about
in
10 miles
Chenmont.
away from where I lived, so I knew there was only going to be about 5 houses on that lonely 4 miles of road. I put the pizzas in my car and started on my drive. I had just put in 2 12-inch subwoofers in the back of my 99 Honda Accord to complete my white trash look. But they weren't secured in there, and being an unkept dirt road, I was driving pretty slow. My GPS told me I had arrived, but it was about a mile off. So I turned down the subs and pulled up to what I believed to be the house. My boss has a thing about never pulling up in the driveway, no matter how much of a walk it is. And this was one of those times that I thought I'd actually do what he says. I grabbed the pizza and receipt and walked up to the door. It was a long driveway, and what sucked was they had the audacity to leave all the outside and inside lights off to the house. Probably just watching a movie. It wasn't this unusual this time of night. I got up to the door. Nothing. I started to get uncomfortable. I turned over the lights and I was looking around the side of the house that I couldn't see. I shouldn't get on my own. I decided this was a good time to start heading back to the car. I didn't want to go back to to the safety of my car, I decided to ring up the person and see if they were just asleep. I was probably just imagining the footsteps or mistaking them for the creaking of the old house. No answer. I decided to balls up and head over to the door one last time for one final knock. So I put my phone on flashlight mode and walked up to the door. One more knock. Nothing. This time I heard the footsteps again, and I turned my light and saw a man wearing some sort of werewolf mask. I bolted to my car with him closely on my heels, but it was obvious that he wasn't the fastest man out there. I just called the police. They were back. Yes, it's called I've been moved from the top of the house. The actual resident of town. This was only a few days ago. I included a picture of the house for all to see. It was parked by the red, and the yellow indicates where the guy was. I still wonder if this man was part of the murders in the quiet little town. Whoever that was, probably weren't in it for the pizza. On a lazy Friday night when I had the house to myself, I was chilling in the living room with the lights off, watching movie after movie. It was past bedtime. I had a craving for pizza. So I walked away to the pizza place. It was a rainy night, part of the reason why I chose to just stay in and watch movies. Ironically, I was watching some scary movie at the moment.
Which building
At some
is
point during
Saxon
that, I heard loud steps coming up the front stoop outside.
I don't know.
I waited for a knock
He's
at
bound
the
to come
doorbell.
out or be
I
flattened
didn't
to
hear
the
anything.
collapse.
I muted the TV out of curiosity. Then went to the front door. I lifted the slider above the peephole to look out at who could be on the porch. I was expecting to see the pizza guy, but at first all I thought I saw was black. It took me a few moments to realize I was looking back at someone's eye, pressed up on the other side of the peephole. I basically leaped back from being startled. I called through the door asking if it was the pizza guy. A deep man's voice called back, "Yes, it is." But something wasn't right. I looked through the peephole again, and now it seemed like the man on the other side was covering it with his hand or something. I didn't know what to do, other than yell, "Why are you covering the peephole?" He didn't respond to that. Instead, he just knocked on the door. I yelled at him to please leave, and walked away from the door back to the living room. A few moments later, the doorbell rang, and the same deep voice yelled, "Pizza, open up." Once again, I went ahead to check through the peephole. He was still covering it. I shouted at him again to please leave or I'd be calling the police. Now I turned off the TV to allow for total darkness in the house. All I could hear for a while was the sound of the pouring rain outside. I went back to the front door to look through the peephole once again. Now I was able to see through it. The man was no longer on the street. I called the pizza place and asked the guy who picked up the phone if he could check if the delivery driver had arrived to my house yet. I of course explained what was going on and why I was asking for that. He said he'd give the driver a call and then call me back. So I hung up and waited like 2 minutes. The guy called me back and told me that the driver had not yet arrived at my house. He suggested that I call the police. He also said the driver would call me when he arrived. I thanked him and hung up the phone. Next thing I remember, I was hearing knocks on the backyard door.
Come on, Foxy, you try a
I felt like this
one-liner.
couldn't be happening.
Just say something
I actually
funny.
felt sick. I crept to the back as a total was currently cold down. This next part was so bad. Even as I crept quietly to the back door, as soon as I got there, the same family tried opening it himself. Thank God it was locked. Once again, I yelled and called the cops and he didn't.
So
My
much
luck
for
with
the
good
White
timing,
Dragon
my phone
Chow
began to
Fun
ring. It was the
Club.
real pizza guy calling to say he was here. I told him to please come to the front door quickly.
See how they
I opened the front door for him.
Time for mass abductions!
I begged him to stay with me.
Saxon Navy among them! Abduct them
He did me
all!
that favor. Police showed up within 10 minutes. Having someone there waiting with me made me feel a lot better. There weren't any other disturbances from that man outside from the time the pizza guy got there to the time the police left. I went straight to sleep after that. I went so far as to pushing my dresser in front of my door, just as a desperate act of feeling safe. Thank God that man left.
No, Crypto! Keep abducting them all! Saxon must run out eventually!
Did we cross the Saxon's brain yet?
No! His genetic signature has not been detected at the mass DNA processor! Keep at it!
Back when I was delivering pizzas for this pizza place called Gina's. It was my last delivery.
Crypto, keep on
My last
sucking!
delivery at that place ever, actually. Not because my shift was ending, but for reasons you're about to find out. I was supposed to deliver one regular pizza to this house around 10 minutes from the restaurant. I got there relatively quickly because I drive fast.
Okay.
It was a gated property, so I had to park on the street and walk through the gate up a decently long pathway to the front door.
Well, I went back and double-checked the scanner
No one
logs
answered
and...
after a minute, so I rang it again.
It appears
the
the
doorbell was
human I
working because I
thought
heard
was
the ringing from
Saxon.
outside.
It was someone else entirely.
Finally, the lights in the room next to the front door turned on,
You know
so
all
I naturally
humans
looked
look
up
the
to the
same.
window. There were two people looking out the window at me. Extremely off-putting and unnerving. As I looked back at them, the front door opened, and a man wearing some
I
pig
made
mask
a
opened the
mistake.
door. Couldn't
Unbelievable,
see his
I know,
face, but he
true.
sounded very joyous
I
for
admit
the
it.
arrival of the
Let's move
pizza.
on, shall we?
He apologized for their costumes and said they were having a role-playing party. He told me to come in for a second since it was cold and that he could catch his wallet. So I stepped into the house and he shut the door behind me. Then he disappeared into another room. I stepped forward a few feet to get a view into the adjacent room. The two people I saw standing at the window moments before were gone. The man called me into another lit-up room nearby. I didn't feel too comfortable, to be completely honest. The whole mask thing was insanely weird, and the two creepy people watching me at the window. Still holding the pizza box, I walked to the other room. As I passed the living room into the room next to it, I was just speechless as to what I saw. There were 6 chairs covered in white sheets arranged in a circle. 4 of them were being sat on by other people wearing bizarre plastic animal masks. The guy in the pig mask who opened the door said, "Come in." 5 of them erupted into this creepy laughter, making me even more uncomfortable. The man in the pig mask told me to sit in one of the empty chairs. I looked at him without saying a word. Then I saw someone else creepily entering the room, kind of half hiding behind a wall opposite me. He was wearing a frog mask. I said, "You can just have the pizza," as I started to back away. There was no more laughter, no verbal response. 2 of the people in chairs got up and started moving towards me, so I did the only thing I could think to, and I threw the pizza box as hard as I could at them into the room and ran for the front door, and then I sprinted to my car. And yes, I was chased outside. One of them tried breaking my passenger side window as I hightailed it out of there. I floored it down the street and went back to the pizzeria, where I told my boss what happened, that I was basically robbed, if not about to be kidnapped or worse. He didn't even want to call the cops, and with that, I quit that job that night. Against my better judgment, I got another pizza delivery job a few months later, but nothing even remotely close to something this strange ever happened again.
that it's an inexcusable loss for the Ravens. My thing is, you go for that fourth down. You do not punt to the Bills in that situation. With a minute left, you just go.
Listen.
I'd argue if they don't get over the hill this year, Harbaugh gotta go. He has to go. How many times can this guy blow games like that and you just get some excuse? But if Tomlin does it, he gets lambasted. But when Harbaugh does it, oh, it's just it's a learning process. No, they are cut from the same cloth, my friends.
The White Dragon Kung Fu Society is expecting a shipment of bicentennial souvenirs at the port of Shangnong.
Souvenirs? Not a hell of a lot of scratch in that.
Exactly. I want to know what's really in those containers.
Who cares? Let's just nuke them and be done with it.
No, Saxon will be watching
For
for
a
the
very
saucer,
brief
and the
2 months,
containers will be
I
well
worked as a
protected from the
delivery
ground.
driver for the app
We'll need
DoorDash.
distraction.
It was to make some quick money
How
on the side
about
on
we
weekends.
round up a bunch of
I live in
hookers
a suburb
and
of
send them down to the
Nevada, so
docks with
deliveries are
nothing
usually
but
quick and
tassels
close.
on and Roman candles up
Someone
their
made a big
hoo-hoos.
order to a local
No.
burger joint, and I
I
accepted
think this
the
calls for
delivery.
a bit more
When the
subtle.
food was finished, I loaded it
We'll
into
tip
my
off the
car and
police,
checked the
then
destination.
follow
on the
them
map.
to the bust.
It was a
They
house
will
across
provide a
town in a
suitable
cul-de-sac.
distraction for the operation.
I tended to
That's
drive
a hell
quickly
of a
over the
wussy
speed limit
plan.
to get more deliveries out, aka get more money.
Thank you.
When you drive like
tip
me,
will
though,
have to come
you're
from
bound
a
to get
credible
into some trouble
source.
once in a while.
You will
And this time,
disguise yourself
as I
a
was
police
driving up the
officer.
block towards the
I
cul-de-sac,
smell bacon,
I saw the sickening glow of the blue and red
Infiltrate their
lights in my
headquarters
rearview
and plant
mirror.
the suggestion in the mind of the
I
commander.
pulled to the side and got written a ticket for more money than I'd possibly even make that night. It was a horrible
Snatch
feeling.
a cop,
I'd spent
set
my
up
night
the
doing
bus,
deliveries
smash the
only to end up
containers.
losing money.
I like the
Still, I
tassel
had to finish
thing
this
better.
delivery, albeit a bit late now. After the cop got back in his car,
Now to
I
find the
drove right
chief of
down
police.
towards the cul-de-sac.
Cortex scanned some of the locals.
I got to the
for clues as
house,
to his
ran towards the
whereabouts.
front door, and knocked really hard since there was apparently no doorbell. As I waited for the door to open, I looked around this dark cul-de-sac. I say dark because there weren't any streetlights, only the small amount of light that was given off by the 3 total houses sitting on the street. It was a pretty unusual dead end, not a nice looking spot by any means. The house wasn't exactly the prettiest either. The door finally opened, with an average height bald man. He had a grayish beard with brown stains in it. His body was a way of behaving as a
Investigate report
extremely
updated.
strong
Police
with
in the
blood
area.
To top it off, his breath was awful as he said, "How you doing?" in his loud, obnoxious voice.
Patrol, be on the lookout for a strange
The chief always stand around outside the station house.
Apprehend on site.
He said, no, come in, I got something for you. I told him, really, it's okay, I'll keep you on your way. He said something along the lines of not being able to tip me through the app, so he'd have to give me some cash money. Against my better judgment, I entered the house with his food still in my hand. I heard a car pulling up into the cul-de-sac as I stepped inside. As soon as I cleared the door, the man slammed it shut and told me to follow him to the kitchen and to put the food on the table. For some reason, even as uncomfortable as this guy made me, I followed him into his disgusting, messy, smelly kitchen. He went into his basement and told me to wait there in the kitchen. He shut the door and I heard him stomping down the steps. I stood there feeling awkward, but also nervous. There was a short silence, and I stood there looking at my phone, texting a couple friends about what I was experiencing currently. Suddenly, there was a huge crash from down in the basement. It sounded like a big shelf holding a bunch of smaller
Talk to the
items
chief of
toppling over.
police.
Followed by
Convince him
what
of the
was a scream
illicit
for help.
nature of Saxon's impending
It seemed as though the man was hurt
shipment,
by
and we
whatever
will
had fallen
garner the
down.
full support of
I ran to the
Shangnong's
basement door and opened
constabulary.
it, and to my surprise, looked down to see nothing but
this
darkness.
is why I'm
Not a
gonna do
single
all
light
the
was on.
talking.
I called down into the basement. "Are you okay?" I heard the man
Disguise
moaning in
yourself as a
apparent pain in the
policeman.
darkness below. I asked where the light switch was. Instead, I used the flashlight on my Samsung and started walking down the noisy, creaky stairs.
This human
They
will
got
make a
me halfway
believable
down.
fool.
The man's moaning sound
This
stopped,
one in the
and it was
newspaper while
completely
you were off
silent.
eradicating
I
someone
stopped
or
as I
other.
realized how silent
He's
it
the
had
son
been.
of a
I
fan
asked if he
maker,
was still okay.
a social climber,
There was
and
no
a
response.
traditionalist. Dead set against the cause.
Suddenly, I got a really bad feeling in
but
my
not
gut.
above making a little money
Something
on
wasn't
the
right.
side. See if that helps.
I heard a small cracking sound from in front
Patrolman,
of the
speak,
steps.
but know that
like
I
a
am a
pebble being
busy
crushed
man.
against a
Do
concrete
not waste
floor.
my time.
Chief,
Then
I
there was a
have
loud knocking
business
at
of
the
an
front door
urgent nature.
upstairs.
You will
I turned
begin
and
by
ran
addressing
upstairs
me
to open
properly.
it. It was the cop who had pulled me over about 5 minutes ago. He was holding something familiar, 2 folded pieces of paper clipped together, asking me if it was mine. It was, and I grabbed it from him. But I also told him in obvious distress that I thought something strange was going on with this man who I just delivered food to.
Honorable
I told him it
Chief,
sounded like he got injured
You have
downstairs,
something to tell me?
but that it
I
also
bring
seemed
word
suspicious.
of dangerous tong
I showed the
activity
cop
at
to
the
the basement
docks.
door, and with his hand
Activity?
on his holster,
What is the nature
he
of
called
this
down into the
supposed
basement.
activity?
I told him there wasn't a light switch. So he took out his flashlight and started
The
walking
White
down the stairs
Dragons are
slowly.
accepting a
I
shipment
waited at
of
the top of the
illicit
stairs as he
goods.
progressed to the bottom
I
step
see. Tell
and
me,
disappeared from
were
my
I
view.
to authorize an armed force to
I
deal
didn't
with
wait
this
too long
problem,
before hearing
how
a
would such an
commotion
operation
downstairs.
work to your police chief's
The cop
benefit?
seemed to be yelling in response to being attacked. The commotion ended with a gunshot. Then there were cries
A
of pain.
successful
Genuine
arrest
cries
would
this time.
greatly enhance your
The
reputation.
cop called up to me to come help him get the guy
This operation will be
upstairs.
quite beneficial.
He asked me to hold the flashlight
I
as he
expect
guided
you
the
want
man
some
who
sort
was
of
now coughing
reward.
up the
What
stairs.
would you request
All the
of me?
while, he was screaming in pain and at the cop. The cop brought him outside and called for an ambulance on his radio. He wanted me to stick around to sign a witness statement.
An alliance between
I
our
stuck around for about
families
half an
would
hour
be
before I
most
left and went home.
advantageous.
What?
Who would have thought
My
the same
family
cop who
sullied
wrote me a
itself with
ticket
the blood of a
would
common
potentially save my
patrolman?
life 10 minutes later.
$50,000 should do it.
Occasionally do some
Money.
deliveries
I
to
suppose I should have known. You have convinced
Usually
me.
late at night
I
after
will
work during
authorize the
week-
operation.
weekends.
Thank you, patrolman.
I use my motorcycle as it allows me to get from point A to point
Good
B.
work, Crypto! That seems
They
to
were
have done
delivering
it.
some Mexican
Now,
food
get
to
to
a
the
family.
port. Perhaps now
It was
would
a
be the
15-minute
appropriate
drive
time
from
to take
Greenville
to the
Place to
air.
Ron's address. When I got to the listed address, I brought the food up the long driveway and up to the front door. I rang the bell, and an older woman opened the door.
This
Said
is a
delivery
full
for
serving,
Ron.
you know. This
But the woman looked confused and said there was no one anywhere.
potentially expensive
I apologized and I said I had to leave.
dragons and the police.
So I went back to my bike and double-checked the app, making sure
Potentially
I was at the right
explosive
house.
confrontation is my
According to
middle
the app,
name,
it was.
Pops. What's the worry?
The house number was 15,
Oh,
just
I'm
like
not
listed on the app.
I'm flabbergasted by
I figured it was time to call this Ron
infatuation
guy
with
to figure out if he had
He's
made a
clearly
mistake with the
How else
address.
to explain the
I used the call feature on the app,
of furon?
and after one ring, it went to voicemail.
Maybe
I tried
it's a
texting
wig,
instead,
you
and
know,
within
to
seconds,
look
he
the
replied
part.
back.
Maybe it's all
told
that
him the address
funky
he gave me
tea
was wrong.
drinks. I don't know. Who
Swiftly said,
cares?
yeah,
I
sorry
trust
about
him.
that. He explained that he didn't actually live here, but that he was chilling with his friend in the preserve
Hey,
across the street from
thanks
the
to
house
the
listed on the
master,
delivery.
we're getting close to
He
learning
requested
who's
I come
behind
into
this
the newspaper
conspiracy
business
that you
and find
can't
out
seem to
there.
figure out.
He mentioned
That
he was sorry
detour
about
in
this and
Sunny
was
Woods.
planning on leaving a generous tip. One time before, I did have someone request I drop off their food at a park near their house. So at
Thanks
that
be
moment,
to
it didn't
hard
seem like the
food.
strangest thing in the world. It was just a slight inconvenience, but one that he'd apparently make up for with the tip. The preserve was gated, but there happened to be an opening leading into it right across the street from the house. I followed the dirt trail until the light post ended, and any further I would be walking into complete darkness. I looked around for the light of the fire. As a matter of fact, I did see a hint of light coming from the woods. I started making my way over into the increasing darkness of the woods, leaving the lit up area.
I didn't
As
know
I
you were
got
such a
closer,
sucker
it
for
confirmed
quiet
there was light from
romantic
the fire.
excursions.
Why were they in the middle of the woods?
Shut your
The
holographic
question of
pie
why they were
hole.
expecting me to bring it to them out there started to ring in my head. I yelled out Ron's name a few times when I was within yelling distance of the fire. No answer. When I got close enough, I noticed something. There was no one sitting around that campfire. I asked myself, is that the right fire? If that was a silly question, how many fires could there be on a weeknight in the preserve? I walked a little closer to the fire and noticed a tent behind it. Maybe they were in there. So once again, I yelled Ron's name as I approached the tent. was zipped up. I tapped on the tent and said Ron's name again.
Try it, scum!
So I finally
Surrender
unzipped the
peacefully
tent
and we
knelt
will
down
make
to
your
look
public
inside.
floggings brief.
Never!
I saw someone laying
We
down
spit
on their
on the
stomach,
glaze of your
facing away from
ancestor!
me, so that
We
their
cursed
shoes
you
were
for
only
1,000
inches from my
generations!
face.
We know about
They
this
seemed to be
shipment.
asleep.
Surrender now.
This was getting
We
a
will
bit
not
ridiculous.
hesitate to
I
use
just marked the
harsh
order as
methods.
delivered
Then
and
you
turned
will
ready
rot
to walk
in
away.
hell of 1,000 paper cut
I didn't
with
even make
lemon
a
juice
single
on them.
step before
We
noticing
have you
someone standing
surrounded.
about 20 feet from me,
Surrender.
Our kung
between
fu
two
is
big
very
trees.
strong. We have the
He called
prime
out, "Are you
seed.
alone?"
Our
No,
guns are
I said.
very strong. We have the
My friend is
bullets.
just
Our
over there.
clothing is very strong.
The guy asked,
We have
"Why
the
aren't you
camera."
alone?"
That is enough.
Said I do my
We are
deliveries
coming
with
in
the
on
partner.
3.
He asked,
1,
"Where's my food?"
2, 2 and a
I was about to
half,
tell him I was in the
2
tent.
and 3
I
quarters,
felt two hands
2
grab
and 4
both my legs
fifths,
and tried pulling me
2
down.
and 5 6.
I looked down and
2
saw
and
the arms
7.
reaching out from the tent.
I mean 8. Wait.
Ron, presumably
number was
the
I
guy
on?
who I was just talking
Let me start
to, started
over.
charging at me. With only maybe 5 seconds to
Cortex
act,
scan the
I did
triads and
manage
find
to
out what
escape
you
the
can
grasp
about
of
the
the two
shipment.
hands and run past Ron, if that was even his real name. I don't think he chased me after I left the vicinity of the fire. I found my way back to the bike easily, and I drove off without taking a second to look back. I contacted Postmates customer service about it. They told me I should escalate it to the police, as there was nothing they could do. By the time they even responded with that, I didn't even feel up to going through with the police report. I just figured I'd let it go. I got lucky and I was unharmed. Still, it taught me one thing. If your instinct tells you to turn and walk away, do it.
With this shipment of aphrodisiac, sexual power will grow and harden.
For some reason, I never really used any of those food delivery apps until recently, after learning how convenient they are. One night after a late work shift, I didn't have time to make dinner, so I ordered some Chinese food off Postmates. It was originally estimated to be delivered in half an hour. I waited a lot longer than that. Around the 45-minute mark is when I started getting impatient.
When we unload the rhinoceros
Postmates
testicle from the
I
ship,
picked up after a
I
few
hope
minutes.
Saxon won't mind if I
I
take a
asked
few
him where he
myself.
was.
I'll be
Yes,
the
who
Ron
is this?
Jeremy of
So Tracy, the girl he
Shenron.
was delivering food for. There was a
Aphrodisiac?
short silence.
That
and
can't
he
be
said,
what
"Oh yes,
Saxon is
I'm on my
smuggling
way."
into Shenron.
Why not? Rhino balls are worth a fortune in this town.
Basically just played around with me.
There must
Lying
be
to the
something
Postmates
else.
that he should show
Get
up.
aboard that cargo
Just
freighter
then
and
my
let's
phone
find out
started
what Saxon
Knowing that it was likely the Postmates show.
Do
I was very
it.
relieved that the food was
Enough of
probably
this.
here.
Open fire.
I picked up
Dr.
and
Puri.
waited for him to say
Protect the
something.
cargo freighter at all costs.
I had to say hello like 4 times before he finally started speaking. He said he's outside. I didn't know how to respond to that, so I said okay, and described the house to him. And he said something weird. He asked me to come outside to get him. I opened my front door to check if he was there. He wasn't. I asked him where he was as he stepped out onto the front deck. There was another pause. I looked around my whole front yard and didn't see anyone. I told him I didn't see him. He said, "I see you." Again, I didn't know how to respond. The way he said it was just so creepy to me. The last thing he said before I hung up the phone was, "You look really pretty."
Do you ever go the right direction?
At that point, I went inside and
Switch
slammed my door shut.
off,
I opened the Postmates app, and it said my food was delivered. I didn't know what was going on here. I was growing increasingly uncomfortable. I shut off all the
We're
lights
wasting
in my house and started
time,
looking out
Fox.
each
Let's
window.
sink this ship.
I started with the
Saxon would
living room
not
window.
defend a shipment of
see
exotic
anyone.
aphrodisiacs so
Then I checked the
fiercely,
dining room windows.
despite their
Nothing.
considerable street value.
Next, the kitchen.
He must be
Still
defending
no one.
something else in the ship's
So I
hull.
went down to
I
our
need
den,
to
which is
find
by
out
the
what
back
he's
door.
hiding.
I know I'm just
I
gonna
hadn't
blow it
raised the
all up
curtain that morning because
anyway.
of
What's
work.
the
So I
plan?
pulled the string to raise it up.
I'm going to
Only a
hack
little bit.
my way into
Just
the
enough
ship's
to peek
system in
under to
order to
check the
bring the
backyard.
cargo up to the surface.
This whole time
It
I was
could
looking
take
out
a
windows.
while,
I don't
given
think I
how
actually
primitive
expected to see
human
someone.
computers are.
When I
And
looked under
where
the
am
curtain to the
I
den
during
window,
all this?
I saw a
Quite
man
a
sitting
many
in my
of
back
course.
patio.
And quickly,
He
here they
wasn't
come.
on his phone,
I
he wasn't
brushed
doing
the
anything.
dust off your trusty
He was just
dislocator.
sitting there, as
Would
if
you
he
like
were
to
waiting
use
for
it?
me.
Would I?
lowered
Does
the
a
curtain back
furon
down.
like to
And my phone
fornicate?
rang.
I wouldn't know.
It was the guy again. I picked up, and he immediately said, "I just saw you at the window." All I said to him was, I'll
Crypto,
call him the cops.
keep those vile White Dragon hooligans away from me!
I went back to the living room and called the cops. The man on the phone said an officer would make it short. After I hung up, my phone kept ringing. It was the murder. I kept rejecting his call, and he wouldn't stop. Sitting there waiting for the cops was one of the most tense moments of my life. Eventually there was a knock at the door, followed by a man shouting police.
What's taking
Jumped
you
off the
so
couch
long?
and
I thought you were a genius.
It's rather
Not a man in a
complicated,
police
Crypto,
uniform.
but
Some man
I've
in some
cracked
dirty
the
street
first
clothes
algorithm of the
who
cargo
gave a disturbing smile as soon as we made eye contact. He opened the storm door and tried to get in. I pushed the front door hard enough to get it shut and locked. He didn't bang on the door, he didn't scream anything. I think he simply ran off after that. Minutes later, we actually
Don't harm all day. Hurry up, will ya?
found the man's phone and pulled it. The background to the phone was a white guy with a blonde hair, presumably his brother. I noticed because the man who was on my stoop was not white, but was Hispanic. Did a little detective work. Came to the conclusion this man was not originally my postman's driver. He had stolen his driver's phone somewhere and had delivered it.
Fox, I
The police
can't hold them
confiscated
all
the phone
forever.
and
Hurry
locked
the
up
hell up!
As far as I know, the man never returned to my house. This was easily the scariest experience of my life.
Oh, I think my circuits are melting! Help! Help!
Free ride.
Five! The last digit to the code is 5! I've done it! 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Congratulations, Fox. You are a freaking genius.
Brace yourself, Crypto. I'm opening the cargo bay doors. Just a moment. Great Archvoodle. It can't be!
What's wrong, Fox? You see a ghost? It can't be what? What? Tell me!
Now, target and destroy the cargo containers aboard the freighter!
it. I really do love it. Every game does it. Wow, so fun. If it puts me past destroying the cargo crates, if it puts me before that, I'm off this game. It's so boring. That's why I'd be off the mic playing this. I'm just watching YouTube because this game is so boring. It's not even hard. It's fucking boring.
Be praised. We just avoided a terrible calamity.
What, Pox? What the hell was in the ship?
I'll tell you later. It would just upset you. I'm going to analyze the data I culled from the ship's log and try to ascertain where it came from.
Fine, be that way.
Besides, your master has enjoyed the story. I'm detecting a psychic communique from your master now.
You have struck a great blow against Saxon, Crypto. You are a worthy disciple.
Thank you, Master.
Oh, yuck.
Though it pains me, we must continue to strike while our enemy is down. Nothing which serves Saxon's criminal empire can remain in Shenla.
Shut up. Motherfucker having an orgasm.
Noticed something. It was
vending machine killer. On April 30th, 1985, a 45-year-old truck driver stopped near a vending machine in Fukuyama, Japan. He was exhausted from work and was looking for an energy drink to help him power through the rest of the day. When he approached the vending machine, however, he noticed something surprising. A bottle of Oranaminsi energy drink was already in the pickup truck. Thinking he'd lucked down on a free drink, the truck driver wasted no time chugging it down. What he didn't know was that this would be the last drink he would ever taste. Instead of the refreshing feeling he was looking for, he felt something horribly wrong with his body. A bitter, burning sensation quickly spread throughout his throat, followed by an intense wave of nausea. It wasn't long before he was lying on the road in excruciating pain. He was rushed to a nearby hospital where doctors discovered a lethal amount of paraquat dichloride in his system. Paraquat is an herbicide that was quite common in Japan at the time. More importantly, it's also highly toxic to humans. When ingested, it can lead to severe nausea, throat inflammation, internal chemical burns, and eventually death. This is also why it's been banned completely from over 70 countries to date. Unfortunately, despite knowing the reason for his illness, there was nothing the doctors could do to save his life. There's no antidote for the deadly chemical today, let alone back then. So after hanging on to his life for a month, the truck driver passed away on the 30th of May 1985. At first, investigators assumed that given the nature of his work, he might have accidentally encountered the toxic substance while on duty. However, after reviewing his haul records, they found no trace of this herbicide or anything remotely linked to it. This left them with only one conclusion: the chemical was mixed into the drink he consumed just moments before collapsing in agony. But with no leads or concrete evidence, they couldn't determine whether it was a murder or self-inflicted act, resulting in the case getting shelved for the time being. Now, while this might sound absurd today, you have to understand that paraquat was readily available in the country at the time. You didn't need any prescription or identification to purchase the chemical, leading to over 1,400 people using it as the poison of their choice in 1984 alone. In other words, the possibility of it being self-inflicted was just as high. However, just as the investigators were about to give up on this case completely, they received tragic news. Another person had fallen victim to the same poison after consuming Oranaminsi on the 5th of September. Then another 6 days later, and one more 2 weeks after that. By this point, it was clear that someone was deliberately poisoning vending machine drinks across Japan. This was the work of a deranged serial killer. Unfortunately, this supposed killer was also extremely thorough. He didn't leave any fingerprint or DNA evidence on the drinks he tampered with, and only targeted vending machines with no CCTV cameras nearby. As for why his victims willingly drank the unknowingly poisoned drinks he left behind, that had to do with the buy one get one free promotion Oranaminsi was running around the time to entice younger consumers. However, since some people only wanted the one drink, they often left the second free drink near the vending machine as a gift for the next person. This was common enough that people didn't find the laced drinks suspicious and drank them without a second thought. Sadly, this method was terribly effective. By the end of the year, this mysterious vending machine killer had claimed the lives of 12 victims and had severely injured 35 more. But as I mentioned earlier, this killer was a master of hiding his tracks. He operated all across western and central Japan, as well as Tokyo, making it near impossible for investigators to pinpoint his location. The lack of evidence also made it difficult to figure out his motive. Some speculated that he was doing all this to extort money from Otsuka Pharmaceutical, the company that made Oranaminsi. This is because in 1984, a group called the Mystery Men with 21 Faces threatened to poison food products unless the companies paid them money. So some believed that the vending machine killer was a copycat and wanted something similar. However, this theory didn't last very long because Otsuka Pharmaceutical didn't receive any demands or extortion from the food country. Additionally, the killer also began using other drinks, like the drink Real Gold and even Coca-Cola. Hiroaki Iwao, a Tokyo professor of criminal sociology, proposed a more disturbing theory regarding the killer's motives. He stated, "It is not uncommon for Japanese who live under tremendous pressure, both on the job and in overcrowded communities, to let out their frustrations by hurting someone else. The person responsible may even wait around to see who buys the poisoned drink. He or she may find this as a kind of exhilarating release from the tensions of life in Japan." But even if this was the truth, it still didn't bring investigators any closer to catching the suspect. Left with no other options, the authorities turned to the public and launched a nationwide campaign on the 27th of September. They placed signs and distributed leaflets telling people to avoid suspicious free drinks and to properly inspect the cap seals on their beverages before consumption. They also instructed vending machine owners to investigate their stock for any anomalies and told chemical shops to monitor their customers more closely. It's unclear how effective this campaign was, as the number of victims kept increasing even after its launch. But then something unexpected happened. On the 17th of November, the murder spree stopped completely after the death of a 17-year-old girl. She was the only female to have died from the poisoning. It's possible that the person who committed these atrocities had a moral code against No, that's nothing more than a baseless speculation. Due to the complete lack of evidence, the vending machine killer was never identified, cementing this case as one of the most shocking and unsolved mysteries in
Huggy Bear.
Little Rock serial stabber. On April 11, 2021, the Little Rock Police Department received a distress call from South Pulaski Street regarding a potential homicide. When they arrived at the scene, they found a middle-aged woman lying on the street with stab wounds all over her body. This woman turned out to be 41-year-old April. She was homeless at the time and was living on the streets when this incident. She was quickly taken to the hospital where medical staff discovered that she had been stabbed at least 15 times. Despite lying on the street, bleeding for what may have been hours, she miraculously survived and managed to regain consciousness the same day. Investigators also visited her in the hospital to gather any information she could provide about her attack. Unfortunately, she was attacked somewhere between 1 and 4 a.m. It was still dark outside, and all that she saw was that her attacker was a tall African-American male. Now, in most other similar cases, such limited information would hardly be enough to generate any leads. But in this instance, the description Deborah provided left the investigators in disbelief. That's because her attacker's profile closely matched the perpetrator of another incident that took place about 8 months earlier in the surrounding area. The victim of that incident was 64-year-old Larry Eugene McChristian.
You know what I'm saying, brother?
Well, many of you mostly know me as a Marvel
you got the
Rebels coach.
invitation.
I also like to drive
Okay,
the
so brother, have a good time. You dig?
I intend to, my main man.
What if I just like to watch, eh?
In patch 3.5, there's been a lot of nerfs to many of your favorite heroes, and even more than that, there are characters that are consistently underperforming with some of the lowest win rates in ranked play. That's why in this video we're going to break down exactly what nerfed characters are actually worse and in what way, and what characters should you consider maybe putting down the
Blokes tell me I need to find this grand dame who runs the best brothel in Shenlong.
But exciting sponsor of this video is actually G Fuel. For those of you who know and watch my streams, I am a chronic caffeine abuser, and I love some freaking G Fuel. Whether I'm trying to lock in, get some videos done, or I'm streaming,
I hear the swanky dame who runs the best brothel in Shenlong is Madam Ginseng.
So many
Even
great
her name is
flavors that
saucy.
I can't recommend it enough. And right now, it's the last chance to get buy one, get one free. It's about to end. So if you want to buy a tub, you get another one free. It's literally the best deal you could possibly get. So definitely use my link down below and check it out in the description. But I'm going to take a refreshing sip of G Fuel and get back into the video. Now first, let's talk about the nerfed characters. How much do these changes matter? And the big one that a lot of people are questioning is Black Panther. I have a lot of people coming in my chat saying, is Black Panther unplayable now? Do we even have to nerf this character anymore? To, wow, he's just the same. So what's the actual truth here? The reality is that this is just going to decrease Panther's uptime. And in general, all melee characters have this problem where they have these periods of downtime where they're not really doing anything. And then they're trying to make up for that with high spikes of uptime. Black Panther is just going to have slightly less uptime than before, which over the course of a longer game might mean that you're going to lose to VPs less because he's going to have less engagements over the course of a really long game, you know, going down from maybe 20 engagements. Now he's only going to get 16 or something like that. So this might mean that his win rate goes down and your win rate against Black Panthers go up. But let's be honest here, that's not why anyone was banning Black Panther in the first place. Because if you played characters that counter Black Panther, swap to appropriate compositions, You were actually fine against Black Panther. It's just about the annoyance factor. Whether you're coddling your teammates trying to keep them alive, or whether you're fighting for your life in the backline without any heal, people just didn't want to fight against Black Panther, regardless of how strong he is. And if that's the reason that you were banning Black Panther before, then these changes will do nothing to change that instance for you, and you're probably going to want to ban him all the same. Now, that being said, I'd personally argue that you don't need to ban Black Panther at all. Just watch some of my counter videos about how to stop him. But if you were banning him before, you should probably still do it. Then the next one that people are asking about is Magneto. His bubble now can absorb less damage. People are asking generally, does this actually matter for Magneto? Does this change anything about Magneto? The short answer is no. It's actually like an unfelt change. Magneto is still a top 2 tank in the game, and that's not going to change anytime soon. Magneto's still very strong. And this change, new combos that people are coming up with right now, with Phoenix ulting in with a Magneto ult, so it breaks all the barriers, and then Magneto destroying the support and can't block it at all. Magneto is actually at a premium right now, even though he's always at a premium, but like that combo is super strong and efficient. I'll have another video in the future breaking down all of the Ignite pro strats that they longer to get their ultimate, but still Cloak and Dagger built ultimate very quickly. Not quite as fast, but still faster than Luna's and Loki's, and you can still go under a lot of these ultimates because you can ult first, and composition is creating a lot of damage. You know, a tempo shift before the opponents have any ultimates online. That's still possible. Still a little bit weaker. I don't really understand the reasoning. Chain isn't going to make Cloak and Dagger unplayable. Still a very strong support right now. I would still say that they are a top 4 support in the game right now, so don't worry too much about Cloak and Dagger. That being said, my number 1 tip for Cloak and Dagger is that you need to be ready to try to combo your Cloak, your Blind with a lot of ultimates and abilities. If you're comboing with Thor ult, if you're comboing with Magneto ult, if you're comboing with Phoenix ult, using that and making it so that players are vulnerable to damage and so that so you're not going to be able to coordinate this a lot in the regular play, but if you can look out for what they're doing, ready to swap, ready to blind the moment an ultimate is used or being used, that's how you're going to be no value into an ultimate that literally wins you a team fight. The last character that we got to talk about in the nerf section, and yeah, there isn't a lot because there aren't a lot of nerf characters this patch, mainly buffs is what we got, and this is off the back of a lot of the changes that he's
Wow. Yeah, I don't think I can do that game anymore, man. That game is just too fucking boring. Every mission is like, hey, kidnap this guy and walk here, and then destroy some of those buildings there, eh? Like, bro. They couldn't think of anything better for a sandbox.